First thing I want to do is I want to thank Steve for running a good campaign. Steve and I, we've been friends in the past. We've collaborated together on projects. We've been good friends, and I look forward to working with Steve in the future. I look forward to Steve's friendship. I know we had a meeting at the Waffle House in Lynchburg about a year ago about this very night, and Steve and I both been talking about this for a while. But I appreciate Steve stepping up and running. And I can't tell you how excited I am about all the energy in this room tonight. I mean, I never for once thought there'd be this many people present to vote in the FCDC election, and I really think it says a lot about. I think it says a lot about how passionate we are and how much energy there is for our party this year. This year's going to be unprecedented. So let me tell you about why I want this job. In 1935, Sam and Flossie Surovell, my grandparents, moved to a farmhouse on Gallows Road in the Fairfax County countryside. They came down here from Brooklyn, where they had spent the early part of their career organizing for labor unions during the Great Depression. My grandfather was an artist. There was no work there, so they came here to D.C. so he could paint murals in D.C. on the Depressionary Agency, the Works Progress Administration, the WPA. My grandparents came here and they tried to join the Democratic Party, but you know what? The Democratic Party wasn't open. Why not? Because my grandparents were Jewish, because they were liberal, and because they liked labor. Okay, folks, it was a different time. So my grandparents looked around and they joined one of the few organizations that would let them in. It's called the NAACP. And my grandparents spent the early part of their political activism fighting to desegregate Fairfax County public schools. And which obviously Fairfax was one of the leaders in Virginia. They eventually Fairfax changed and my grandparents were able to join the Democratic Party. However, it was controlled by a man named Harry Byrd and his little clique in Richmond. And back in those days, the Democratic Party really wasn't very democratic. And my grandparents, they fought Harry Byrd machine, they broke the back of the Byrd machine in Fairfax County. First to get into the party, and then they had to fight it for the candidates. They had my father in 1944, they trained him how to climb telephone poles to put up signs to beat Joel Borehill, conservative Republican. And then my daddy, then he went to, he's here tonight by the way, there he is. FCDC Vice Chair of National Affairs, 1969-1970. But my father went to law school where he met a girl from Moonshine Country, Linda Booth, who's also here. That's my mother. Who had spent her days in Longwood protesting desegregation in Prince Edward County down in Longwood, in Southside. And my grandparents fought. They broke the back of the Byrd machine here in Fairfax County, here in the 8th District, when they took out Harold Judge Smith in the George Rollins election. And, folks, I learned to fight from my parents because, you know what? In 1971, it was a gubernatorial election. My mother was pregnant. Henry Howell gave one her speech one night. 8 hours later, I was born. I've been drug around to so many Democratic Party events from the cradle till today. Folks, it's in my blood. And in 2003, after I came back from law school, got married, had some children, moved back to Mount Vernon, Jenny Peters approached me and asked me if I considered chairing the Mount Vernon Democratic Committee with Kay Wilder. And I considered it, decided I had to give up my softball games on Monday night. And I knew it meant time away from my family, but I thought it was important. I thought we could do some good things. 2 months later, Kay Wilder and I sent our committee out, and my committee who's here tonight. Say hello, Mount Vernon. We went out on primary day. We signed up, folks, 500 volunteers. We got 500 email addresses. Today, we've grown that list into 800 email addresses. Folks, we built it into an army. In the last 4 years, we've dropped 150,000 pieces of literature in Mount Vernon by hand. In Mount Vernon, we've got a website up. We've got a blog up devoted to the record of Dave Albo. Folks, Dave Albo is so terrified of Mount Vernon, he's told many people the first thing he's going to do if he wins again is get rid of his Mount Vernon precincts. Because he saw what we did in George Parker's race. Folks, this committee we built in Mount Vernon, they're terrific. They're a bunch of folks that I'll go to war with. And in any event, I want to tell you about another group of people I'll go to war with. About in December, Janet Olizik came to me, or Jay Meyerson, I think, came to me and asked me if I'd serve as Janet Olizik's counsel in her recount. And we fought as hard as we could, but there wasn't a whole lot we could do because the way General Assembly wrote the law to change the outcome of that race. But when I saw us lose that race by 101 votes, by Liz Griffith on the Team Blue team lose her race by 150-some votes, and when I saw us lose the clerk's race by 1,500 votes in an election, folks, where 30,000 people cast a ballot but chose not to cast a ballot in the clerk's race. I decided that I needed to step up and do what I can to elect Democrats. Because when this committee does not operate, when this committee does not click on all cylinders, when we don't get out every last Democratic vote, we end up with Attorney General Bob McDonnell, with Lieutenant Governor Bill Bolling, or God forbid, we lose the presidential election by 1,000 votes like happened in Florida. Folks, this stuff what we do is real. FCDC is a political organization. It's not a social club. It's about work and electing Democrats and getting people to vote. And that's what we're doing out here. So, that's the way to take on my team. My team, folks, this team we've assembled, this team are the top-notch political volunteers in Fairfax County, the best we have to offer. I'll tell you this, we have the first ever female Green Beret, and the only female Green Beret in history of the Marines. Two of the best youth grassroots organized in Dornoch and Pools, North and South, Chris Ambrose and Sue Lang. We have the top Latino activist, Lola Quintela, our Vice Chair Devon, we have FCDC's best treasurer, Marianne Lovis, is a fundraising dynamo. Folks, we're going to take this committee to the next level. And you look at my platform, you look at the platform that the Team Blue has written, and you might say, folks, there's a lot of things on that. How are you going to accomplish that? And I'll tell you how I'm going to accomplish it. Back in 1996, I spent 2 months there for the bar exam, spent 2 days in a room down at the Roanoke Convention Center, immediately drove home, and you know what? I got on my bike and flew to Seattle. August 2nd, I dipped my back tire in the rear of the Pacific. 42 days, 4,251 miles later, I put my front tire in the Atlantic. If you think something's hard, okay, don't tell me running FCDC is harder than riding a bike across the United States. I know how to get things done. And yeah, I got some energy. I got 4 children. I got a lot of energy, and I will get it done. We got a great team. We're going to do incredible things in Fairfax County in the next 2 years. This county committee is going to be the envy of every committee in the state. And if you vote for me and vote for my team, folks, you're going to be proud, and we're going to make you proud. So I ask for your vote tonight, and thank you again for coming out tonight and being Democrats. Thank you very much.